Well, a premise for a great song, private eyes could be watching you, especially if you filed a personal injury claim. Well, we want to welcome Charleston attorney Gus Anastopoulo here to shed some light on this practice that at first blush seems like not only an invasion of privacy, but is it legal?
Well, thank you for having me,
Yeah,
Layla.
great to have you.
And unfortunately, this is becoming more of a common practice that you're seeing from these insurance companies. Typically, it's when it's claims valued in excess of $15,000. But these insurance companies have entire departments that are devoted solely to investigating claimants following their injury.
Okay, so this tactic, it's surveillance, it's people following claimants around. And how far do they go to track people down and to watch their every move?
Layla, it gets very, very invasive. I've seen investigators follow clients to church, to family gatherings, to barbecues. Most recently, I had a case where they followed my client out of state to Florida while she was out visiting her son.
Crossing state lines.
Crossing state lines. He checked in the same hotel, stayed at the same hotel, got video surveillance of her getting ice in the ice bucket. Of course, God forbid, right? And really where they thought they had their smoking gun was in the very end when she was saying goodbye to her son. She gave him a hug. They're like, she can't have a back injury. So, Layla, they go very, very far with these tactics, and a lot of times it just turns into cherry picking what's helpful for them, unfortunately.
How much does that hold water, though?
Ultimately, it depends on the case, and really what we're often fighting for is for the full surveillance. Like I mentioned a moment ago, what they tend to do is cherry pick what's favorable.
So they edit.
They edit, and they're very selective, and so sometimes it requires a court order to get the full surveillance. So it is oftentimes admissible to a certain degree in court, but to what extent and what they're allowed to show, we often fight for the full footage if it's allowed in, just to tell the full story.
Gosh, so it sounds like you have to do some legal gymnastics just to get the full story and to help your claimant in this case.
Absolutely, and that comes from the full surveillance, speaking with witnesses, family members that have been with the claimant, the ones that have been there on those nights, weekends, seeing them, the changes they've experienced following the accident and their injury, and ultimately that's how you tell the full story that isn't going to be captured in a 15-second video clip.
Certain networks, they've done these undercover stories over the years, which we tend to see people who claim that they've either had a broken back, they're completely immobile, and you see them doing cartwheels across the street. So you can understand that some of these insurance companies do this to prevent fraud. However, how often, there's a ton of fraud in the insurance business, obviously, but what are some of the statistics when the claimant is really truly telling the truth versus it actually being fraud?
Well, Layla, first off, insurance fraud is a problem.
Yeah.
There's no question about that, and that's fraud is ultimately going to be how they're going to convey the reason for doing the surveillance. But by and large, the end result, the intention of the insurance company is to seek out those gotcha moments to ultimately give them a reason to reduce or sometimes even deny the claim. And so it's certainly not about justice. It's more about those profit margins and figuring out ways to reduce that claim.
Everyone has this inherent sixth sense. So when you're out, what are some of the signs that you could be watched?
You see that same car parked outside your house, and the same one that follows you to work. That you see an individual that shows up to a family gathering that's maybe not invited there. Ultimately, it's those situations where if you're seeing this consistently, you want to take pictures of the car, of the license plate, and also record the time that it was done, because ultimately that's going to be important for showing a potential harassment claim. Now, if it rises to the level of where you feel threatened, then of course you want to get law enforcement involved at that point.
You do, okay. Yeah, because I was curious, what are some of the steps that one can take to protect themselves legally if they do feel that they're unduly being surveilled?
Absolutely, and I would also add, if you feel that you're being surveilled, don't let that keep you from living your life within your parameters. Ultimately, the important thing is listen to your doctor's recommendations. If your doctor's telling you no heavy lifting, get somebody to help you lift that water into your trunk. If the doctor tells you no overhead reaching, get somebody to help you get that item off the top shelf. So live your life within your reason, follow your doctor's recommendations, but ultimately don't let it intimidate you from pursuing your claim.
Good advice, yeah. And hugs can be okay.
Hugs can be okay.
They can be okay. For anybody who wants more information, where should they go?
They can find us online, guslawsc.com. They can call us at the office, 843-310-5555. Or they can even stop by our office. We're at 5880 Rivers Avenue in North Charleston.
Gus Anastopoulo, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Layla.
Appreciate it. We'll be back after this.